Best Irish music on irishradio.org with Jerry Byrne.
Irish Radio, I'm Jerry Byrne. I've been speaking to many of the great and the good and the talented of Irish music. I've got a gentleman now who's been involved in music for many, many years, from Ballyshannon in County Donegal. And his latest musical endeavours is with a band called the Kings of Cool. They're releasing and writing their own material, been playing it and sounding very good it is. I'm delighted to say hello to the one and only Michael Christie. Michael, how are you?
Hello, Jerry. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and thanks very much for contacting me.
A real pleasure. Michael, listen, you've been involved in music a long, long time. How did it all start off?
Well, Jerry, it started off a long time ago. I was about 14 years of age, and I started playing with a guy who would have been in the show band scene before that, called Sean Gallagher in Mundoran. He had a band called Sean Gallagher and the Quarrymen. So at this stage, he had a pub band put together, and the drummer left him. So at the age of 14, I started playing in Bundoran with them the summer seasons. And back then, Jerry, you could do 6 nights a week in the one bar right through the summer. And that is amazing. When I look back on it, there's just another world, you know.
Indeed.
So yeah, that would be way back in around 1979. And so started playing and loved it, of course. And eventually moved on into pop rock bands. And in the 90s, I would have been in a band called Georgia from Ballyshannon in Donegal. And I got married to a girl in Ballyshannon, so I was living in Ballyshannon. And they would have been quite popular all over Ireland. We had a few, we didn't have hits as such, but we were on 2FM and radios all over the country quite a lot, you know. And we almost got a record deal. We were negotiating with EMI records, and like many of the bands before us and since, the guy who wanted us in the company moved on to a different company, and the guy who replaced him did not want us, so the deal fell through. Okay. So that's how it would have started, but I would have went on then in the Zeros, started playing just blues rock with different blues rock bands. Pat McManus, I played with Pat, great blues guitar player. And Johnny Gallagher, who would be Sean Gallagher's son, who was the man who first started with. I did the full circle in that family. And played all over France before people like ZZ Top and Status Quo and Supertramp, bands like that. And in the last few years then I've been at home just playing in wedding bands, bar bands, teaching kids drums. And that would be a potter's history of many, many years on the road.
Indeed, that's a fair old that's a fair old time on the road, and you know, not alone in Ireland, but also going to France and you know, performing with all of those huge international acts.
Yeah, those days were lovely in the sense that it was very interesting in one sense, in that you'd be playing, you know, in festivals with Mark Knopfler or, as I said, ZZ Top or whatever. And, you know, because you would have come up through bar bands and wedding bands and stuff like that, you would feel, God, these guys are going to be amazing, you know, how are we going to play before them, you know? And you would very often find that, you know, they were good, but, you know, they had obviously just done the same as things as typical Irish musicians. They'd come up through the ranks themselves. They were very good, of course they were, but it was nothing to be frightened of, if you can understand what I mean, you know.
Indeed, yes. Now, you're right. You know, after all of that, things changed for everyone when COVID struck and lockdown. Now, you didn't just sit back and do nothing. You started. You put your thinking cap on.
Yeah, well, two of the guys in that band, Georgia, that I talked about, live still in Ballyshannon, and we'd always stayed in touch. And even though we were all doing different projects over the years, every now and again, we'd meet up and maybe jam and whatever. So in the summer of 2019 now, actually, it's hard to know what year you're in at the moment, but summer 2019, we did some Thursday nights in Daisy Riley's bar in Ballyshannon. And they were very well received. We weren't playing any original music, but we were playing everything from Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings to the Beatles to Steely Dan to Bruce Springsteen So just stuff that we like to play ourselves, and it went very well. So for 2020, we had in our head to maybe do some extra gigs, play with that band, the Kings of Cool, more often. But of course, COVID came in early 2020, so everything was locked down, no playing, and having had time to reflect, I suddenly realised I hadn't written a song in years because I was chasing my tail at gigs and weddings and whatever. So we settled down, and I wrote a song called Life After Lockdown, and contacted the two guys would they maybe consider recording with me. And of course, they were mad to do something. And Jerry, the gas thing is, we recorded Life After Lockdown in a hurry because we felt we've got to get this out now before it's all over, while it's still topical. So it shows you how naive we were at the time. Little did we know how long the whole thing was going to go on for. So yeah, we recorded that song, and we had in mind to maybe just record that one song and maybe revisit some other older songs. But I started writing more. The guitar player, Jason Kelly, he started writing more. And suddenly we were just kept on recording, and we realised every 6 weeks or so we had a song ready to come out. The radio stations in Donegal and Sligo in particular jumped on us and started playing the songs. But even Radio 1, RTE Radio 1, Ronan Collins played us a few times. And we've been putting out a song every 6 weeks since last June. That's June 2020. And we put out our 7th song 2 weeks ago, which coincidentally is the first one I've sent to you because I only came across you on the internet last week.
Right. So, okay. And that's I must say that well done on it all, and I do think it's cracking where you wanted to get the song out quickly while lockdown was on. It's well done on the writing of the songs and the creativity of the whole thing.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry. I appreciate that. Look, we seem to be on a roll at the moment, and we're nearly afraid to stop because, like all these things, you get into a purple patch, and the songs, like Never Cook is the last song that came out, and it's a song about loneliness. And Jerry, it never happened to me before, but I cannot say I wrote that song. It literally was in the air, and I grabbed it, if that makes any sense. The melody hit me. I had 2 lines. I wonder where the lonely people go. That was all I could think of. And the amazing thing was, I'm a big Beatles fan. In fact, the whole band are big Beatles fans. And I was driving along in the car one evening, and Eleanor Rigby came on the radio. And I had a song about loneliness, and Eleanor Rigby was, look at all the lonely people. And I thought, that's how I'm going to do it. And Neville Cook was born in that moment as a character to write about loneliness. Right. And it just all happens just like that. Yeah.
Wow, simple as that. It's great people and great creators sort of always say it just came and I was lucky and stuff like that. But I mean, you gotta have a lot of a lot of talent. You gotta have something there to be able to take something like this and make it write it.
Well, there's a certain amount of craft, of course. Some songs, I have other songs that we've put out, and 1 or 2 of them I actually doubted them because I had to work so hard at them, if that makes any sense. You don't have the same grow for the ones that you had to kind of, chisel into shape. Like, I love Never Cook because it just came to me and it did nothing. But anyway, but having said that, Jerry, you've been in music for all these years and you've been listening to music, okay? So you might think, how difficult it would be to write a song. But when you hear a song on the radio, Jerry, you instinctively know, without even thinking, here's the chorus coming. Or here's the guitar solo coming.
Yes.
So all of these things have actually soaked into our consciousness to some degree, regardless of who we are, I think,
Indeed, it's possibly true, but well done, I'll have to say, Michael, on it. It's been absolutely fantastic, and it's great, even in the times that we have in it when there's not a musician in the world playing any place. That you are, you actually were able to together with your 2 friends create this material and have that.
Well, it's been great that way, and. there's no master plan, Jerry. We throw out we record the songs, we produce them ourselves, we record them ourselves, we write them ourselves, and we put them out as we come up with them. Although we've got a little bit ahead of ourselves now, which is just as well, because things will dry up after a while, so it might be nice to have a stockpile. But anyway, we'll keep going every 6 weeks, and in a way we might have blundered across a way of working, because Jerry, you would know that the whole music business has changed, and that the album is dead. Nobody buys albums anymore. Even if you go look at Spotify, the song is king. It's one song. People just go for the song they want from an artist. They don't go for the album. So I think if we keep coming with songs, and maybe we might just actually have blundered across the right way of doing it. Rather than tying them all together as an album. But we'll see. In the future, we might just bundle them up and put out an album, because we'll have to try and get a few pound back somewhere. But I don't know what the correct answer is. We're going to keep writing the songs as long as they keep coming to us. And even the Beatles had to stop writing in the end. You can't keep the creativity going, but we'll keep it going as long as we can.
Indeed, and well, I have to say, Michael, well done on it, and well done on the name, the Kings of Cool. I must say it's a very interesting name.
Well, that came to me. That we were trying to think of a name, and because live we were playing a little bit of jazzy stuff, like Steely Dan or whatever, and we also like country. I mean, we were reared with country, as you know, good Irish guys from the west of Ireland. But my particular preference would be, of course, the Beatles, Jeff Lynne, anything melodic pop with guitars. I've always liked that kind of stuff, George Jackson, Elvis Costello. So just the Kings of Cool had a vaguely, I thought, jazzy feel to it. It could be a little jazz group, it could be anything, So that's where we came from there.
Right, fair play. Well done on all your on all you've done and all you're doing, Michael. It's cracky stuff. I wish you all the success in the world.
Joe, I suppose just to let you know that the Kings of Cool are Michael Christie, and then Jason Kelly. His mum would be Breach Kelly, who would be very well known all over England and Ireland for playing accordion.
Yes,
she's very well known accordion player. That's Breach Kelly from Ballyshannon. And also his uncle would have been Cyril Curran and Corby, who wrote lots of great songs for Daniel O'Donnell and people like that. And that sadly died last year, actually. His poor Cyril, Lord of mercy on him. And then Stephen Gallagher is on the bass from Ballyshannon. And of course, there's nothing but Gallaghers in Ballyshannon, including Rory Gallagher, who was born in Ballyshannon. The guitar player. So...
Right,
yeah, that's just the three of us. Yeah.
Right, well done on on it all, and the creativity that you've done. Listen, I wish you all the luck in the world, Michael.
Thank you very much, Jerry.
And the Kings of Cool, and we shall be continue to play your music, and listen, keep creating it. It's been lovely to chat to you, Michael.
Well, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, Jerry, and you're keeping fair play to you. You're keeping the home flag flying over there in the capital of the empire. So fair play to you. It's great to connect with somebody who is over in London and trying to keep the whole Irish scene relevant, So fair play to you.
Thank you indeed, Michael. Listen, lovely to chat to you.
Good man, Jerry.